Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're doing a little review of our last mock auction draft we just did. If you haven't heard that yet, go check it out. Part 1. It'll be the episode posted right before this. So go check out how we started our draft. So we went into that thing. I went in there, basically my only goal in this draft was I'm doing like a hero running back strategy in a way. I'm going to get Jonathan Taylor, and I didn't care what it was going to cost to get Jonathan Taylor. It's just sometimes people want to do that, right? Certain player you absolutely want, top guy in the draft. So that's what I did. Went to try to get Jonathan Taylor, see how I could build the team around that. Actually got him for a good price. Jeff went in and did a sit and wait approach where basically he let the first 10 picks at running back and receiver go before he decided to get into the fray. I think it was pick 22 was the first time he actually got a player here. So that was an interesting one, Jeff, the sit and wait. We wouldn't think we've told people not to sit and wait, right? Don't let the draft go past you. But I think there is a point that it can work. You just can't let it go you can't let it go forever. But your sit and wait approach, I think it actually worked out pretty decent. But you got in at the right time.
Yeah. When I did it too, I was really making sure that I let the top 10 running backs and top 10 wide receivers go just to really give it a good feel. So I'm not jumping in too early. And I do think that there was some areas where I could have potentially made people pay a little bit more for one of these guys, which would have been helpful to me. But I could have gotten one of them too. And maybe I got it for a good price. So I think there is a way to maybe add on to this strategy, but overall, just the depth I have and the people I ended up with, I absolutely love my team. So I do think that this is probably an area where I would tweak it and try to figure out how can I improve it even just incrementally and say I go from there. So I do think that this might not always work depending on risers and fallers. I do think I ended up picking up guys that people are lukewarm on, even though they like them. So they weren't willing to overpay. That might change by the time that you see preseason games if you're drafting that late. So there's a lot that can happen here, but because that middle is so rich with talent, it doesn't really kill you if one of those guys is taken. There's one only that I will mention. The Nick Chubb one was kind of a building block pick for me. He was the one I needed. And if someone forced me to pay a lot more for him, it could have changed the whole strategy. So that is there was one building block guy, but I think if I was in it for running back a little more early on, then making sure that I at least get one guy I believe in, that would be really worthwhile, even if it's not a top 5 guy.
Yeah, well, even with this, Chubb went for 40. Dalvin Cook only went for 43. Mixon went for 44.
Yeah. See, and that's where we kind of would it be better to get a Dalvin Cook than a Chubb? Most people would say yes.
You just switch it into Dalvin Cook. You have $3 less, and I don't know. Yeah. You don't get. Well, if you don't have Chubb, you don't get Kareem Hunt then for your $3, right?
Yeah, which I did get as a handcuff.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty simple. You could actually have made that work, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I like it. So you did go a top quarterback because you saved money elsewhere. So
and that was the other thing too. I think when you're doing this, and I mentioned in the previous podcast, the way I was building my team and the prices I was getting, and I'll take you through who I ended up with on my team. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't end up with a great bench that I might never use. And I made sure to put that money towards a QB and a tight end I can rely on, or at least have high upside, you take away, because I did end up getting Kittle, which has injury concern, but his ceiling is so much higher than some of the other guys. So that I made sure I put together a very solid starting roster before I started putting guys on the bench I might not use, even though I do have a lot on there that I love. So I will go ahead and go through mine first. The wait and see approach worked out. I ended up with Patrick Mahomes, who I had to spend, I think, $13 for. At that point I knew what kind of money I had left because I pretty much had the majority of my team, besides for a tight end, all taking care of the starters at least. So I was like, I'm definitely going to go for Mahomes. If I don't get him, I'm definitely getting the next guy. I think Herbert and Josh Allen were the only two to be off the board at that point. So that helps me a lot. Then I have Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley, if you will, as running back 1 and 2. And then I have Mike Evans and AJ Brown as wide receiver 1 and 2. These would be my starting roster. Obviously, all of them incredibly solid. I think Mike Evans is great, especially for the first half of the year. AJ Brown, there's some risk there, but I think they're going to get him the ball a lot. And this is where I could have picked a lot of different guys. I do think there was a lot of mid-range wide receivers that could have probably slid in here. So that's where I feel really good about it. Tight end, I got George Kittle. At flex position, I got J.K. Dobbins, which I absolutely love. I know not everyone does, but here I had a lot of flexibility. I got Dobbins relatively early in the draft because of when he was nominated. But you can, if you'd rather go and get ETN, if you'd rather go and get Damian, I mean, a lot of guys went for cheaper than him. So it was possible. I think he has high ceiling. I really love him. So I went out and got him as a flex. Doesn't matter. Defense, kicker, spend $1 on each. Who cares? Yeah. And then on bench, my first two that I went out and got was two guys I truly believe in that I think were deals. And I was willing to spend a little more on them. And that was Marquise Brown, who is going to be the number 1 wide receiver on the Cardinals for the first 6 games while Hopkins is serving his suspension. And he really has high ceiling. And then Elijah Mitchell, who I got him for, I think, $11. He is a golden ticket kind of player. If he plays and stays healthy like he did last year, yes, they will rotate other running backs in there, but he's going to have first crack at it. He could have a huge year, and it's such a cheap way to spend it on him. And he is going to be my 4th running back, which I absolutely love. The other thing I will mention on here, as I'm rambling on and on, I did get a lot of running backs, as I also added Kareem Hunt for a handcuff, and he's also good enough. If they're really running the ball a lot, you can use him. I also got Kenneth Walker because I had more money than other people, so I was able to spend like $3.
I think you outbid me there.
Yeah, and Kenneth Walker is a guy that I have really high hopes for. I think he could be another lottery stash pick. And AJ Dillon, who
outbid me on him too.
Yeah, who should. And then that was the thing of having extra money down the line. And you're not spending a ton of guys. I didn't spend any more than $4 on any of these guys. I think AJ Dillon, I had to spend $4 because of Craig. But you're able to give him. And then Garrett Wilson, I got for a couple bucks at the very end. He's a wait and see. He'd be the first one off my team. I do have and then the guy I didn't talk about was Kadarius Toney. I went out and made sure I got him for a few bucks as well. He was one of them that I put on my bench early because I knew I would end up spending over what he was worth because I believe in the talent. So my entire bench is crazy big, crazy talented. So if Saquon's not Saquon, if Dobbins doesn't work out, I'm still going to be fine. Chubb gets hurt, I plug in Hunt. Like there's no scenario where I'm going to be out of luck this year. And if you're able to trade, I have a lot of trade options. The only thing that can happen is someone like Craig, who we'll go over his team in a moment, where you have guys like Jonathan Taylor. He might just be better if he was able to grab free agents, if he's able to find the diamonds in the rough and fill out his team, because I'm making up for it in the aggregate, right? Like my whole team is very good, but he has superstars that could break a week open. And that is going to be the danger for me.
Yeah. So like I'm better than you at like 1 through 3, but I think you're better than me at like 4 through 10. You know what I mean? Like that's how it played out. So like I came in, I love the way the team played out. Like we said, there might be a couple tweaks, but this seems to be, so far we've done 4 strategies. This is a really good one.
Yes. And I think, and this one doesn't lock you in, which I really
like. No, it's because it's more balanced. I think we could tweak it to a little more balanced where you're not like you could get that. There's a guy you can get in the top that's going to be cheaper probably, or not much more than like waiting for Chubb, but it's solid. It's really solid. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one player won't throw it off.
Yeah. So I came in like saying, I don't ever do this, but I went, all right, I'm getting Jonathan Taylor. I'm getting Jonathan Taylor. I didn't care what it was going to cost. Getting a bit anymore, screw it. I'm taking him. Jonathan Taylor. They didn't have to. He'll leave him for $58. That's a lot of money. Yet it's like I still spent a good amount of money, but he wasn't even the highest priced guy. I think like 3 or 4 guys went more than him at that point. But I got Jonathan Taylor $58. I was happy with it. But then at that point, I'm like, oh, wow, I got Jonathan Taylor $58. Let's see, I can build around this. Let's get a couple other big time guys, see how it plays out. So I got Mixon for 44. Then I got Jamar Chase for 48. So I got the Bengals. And then after I got Chase, I realized, you know what? A lot of quarterbacks. Let's stack this with Burrow. So I got Burrow for 4. So Burrow's my QB, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon on my running backs, Jamar Chase is my wide receiver 1. And then I'm like out of money, right? So then I got to really just try to find some value. I got Deontay Johnson as my wide receiver 2 for 16. I think that's about where he's ranked, right? He's a wide receiver 2. It's solid. It's not like, oh wow, I got Deontay Johnson. I'm so excited. It's just solid, right? It's whatever.
Yeah, it's a very good pick, and he might actually turn out to be a great one. Yeah. We're waiting to find out about the QB situation. Either one, whoever wins it, however they play, I think that Deontay Johnson is the safe one on that team. So I really do love him as a wide receiver too. I think that was a very key pick when you have a team full of these guys. Like, give me one safe guy before I have to dip into the bench.
So then tight end, I got TJ Hawkinson for $3. I got him last week for $4. I think Hawkinson's going for great prices. I don't spend much on tight ends. This is about as much as I'll spend. But Hawkinson for $3 over $1 guy, yeah, give me that extra $2. I'll take that all day. I'm good with that. Currently, my flex is Darnell Mooney, $10. You could debate Mooney or my next receiver, which is Rashad Bateman, $5. But you could debate. I could see a scenario where Bateman is better than Mooney. But I like Mooney. I like Bateman. I love both of those. I love getting Bateman for $5. 2 weeks in a row, I've got him for $5. I think that's a steal. So Bateman's my wide receiver 4 as of right now. Could be my 3. See how it plays out. But Mooney there, $10. Love that pick, dude. Get defense kicker for $1 piece. Rashad Penny, get him again, $3. That's why I wanted Ken Walker. Jeff got him from me. But you can easily, in these things, and I just didn't have money, you can get Penny and Walker combined in an auction for under $10 combined. Honestly, you can get that. I think that's an awesome duo to try to get on your team. Go get Penny, go get Walker. Penny might be the guy to start the year, be great. And then if he gets hurt, Walker's going to be there and be great. It's how it's going to play out. So I love getting those guys. I got Trey Lance for $1. We're not the Trey Lance podcast, but I do like throwing $1 quarterback on my bench sometimes, just to see, honestly, I believe a few years back, if we weren't throwing $1 quarterback on the end of our bench, we might not have got Lamar Jackson in a lot of scenarios. And that's what we did a few years back. And he was like ranked 14th. I got him in the Throne League we do. He was my QB2, and I got him for like nothing, right? So Trey Lance, hey, if it doesn't work, well, right? No, I'm not losing anything here. I picked up Kenny Golladay for $1 because, shoot, maybe he was just hurt last year and he actually can play yet. We'll see. Melvin Gordon for $1. If he still gets that split with Williams, he could be decently valuable. Then I picked up Dameon Pierce, again, for $1. Just, hey, could be his job in Houston. We'll see how that plays out. And then Christian Watson. I rounded out my team with Christian Watson. I think Jeff and I both are not excited about how it's going for Christian Watson early, and it's obviously nothing to do with his play. He's not playing yet in camp. He is hurt. It's not a good way to start camp as a rookie. It's just hard to come back from that early on. We saw, last year, that's what happened to Rashad Bateman, right? He was hurt, and he never really got into it. And he was a great player. He's never got into it. I think he'll be better in year 2. Kind of worried about that for Christian Watson. So he says he's day-to-day, but it's been a few days now. So
yeah, he had a small procedure on his knee in order to make sure that's cleaned up. Yep. They wanted to take care of it now because you want to invest in the guy. Well, which I love, but the thing is,
I worry about Romeo Doubs getting an opportunity.
Yeah, you open up the door for other guys. It's great and there's enough work for both of the rookies, but you're going to have to overcome. It just feels like a situation where they're not going to get to play right away. So how many weeks does Sammy Watkins hold on? Does Cobb hold on? Does and Allen Lazard seems like
the guy, right?
Guy.
Yeah. Rodgers does seem to like him. It seems like that's not going to go away. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Allen Lazard, we'll do in a few weeks, like we always do, is like the players we haven't talked about list. I think Allen Lazard is a perfect candidate for that. I think part of the reason we don't talk about it is we just don't know what it is. So
yeah, it's hard to really believe in him. But
maybe by then in a few weeks we'll have a little bit more news. But so yeah, another auction in the books. This was interesting. I like these teams better than last week's for sure. This was a little bit more in line with what we might want to do. So I like these drafts a little more. Maybe some tweaking to do, but I think there's more auction to do here. But I think later this week, I think it's time we talk a little bit of auction draft steals because I think we're starting to see some trends in these prices so far that I'm excited about if I'm building the end of my bench. And I think you can get some steals at the end of your bench right now. So, and then we keep getting these same guys for like no money at all. And it's like, wow, I mean, this could be a huge breakout. And you know what? They're costing so little where if they don't, oh, well, you're not out anything. So we'll do that later this week, but that was good. Enjoying these auction drafts, Jeff. Way to go. It's the best part about fantasy is auction drafts. It's just nothing compares. So, all right, that'll do it. We'll talk to you guys next time.